Right, so here we are today at the playing field behind the high school. Me and Sally, teenage Westie, here she comes. She's a bit too hot because it's the second hottest day of the year today. For Arran, the hottest day was yesterday and that was 23 degrees in ex-sea weather. And today is 20 degrees and we're out at midday, so this is the hottest bit right now. And well, it doesn't sound like a lot if you're in England or Ireland or these places, but for Arran that's a lot because we're quite blessed in a way because the temperature pretty much stays the same all year. It doesn't vary much if you're not familiar, and so we don't get the snow and the frost and things in the winter. We don't get the extremes, and we don't get the hot summers either. I was speaking to somebody who was saying, like in Canada, they get up to 40 degrees and then they still go plummeting down to minus 15 things in the winter. You know, it's like I'll get Sally back over there. She's coming over here. This is the only bit of shade, Sally. That's it. Kind of running out of shade here. So Sally was in Whitehouse Woods with me, and I came through to Lamlash specifically from Whiting Bay to come to Whitehouse Woods because it's nice and shady, because in the sunshine Sally struggles because she's an old dog and has a thick fur coat on, right? Miniature polar bear as I call her sometimes. So she gets far too hot, and we were in the woods, and then she steered us out of the woods onto this plain field, and now she's paying the price for her decision that she didn't think through very carefully, because she is now too hot. Because when we came out of the woods it was kind of a bit overcast, it wasn't too sunny, and now the sun's come out. Right, okay, I'll steer her back towards the woods I think, so I'll veer off this direction. Let's see if I can get her. In fact, I think I'll have to actually properly steer her. Let's go. Come on, Sal, we're going this direction now. We're going to go into the actual sunlight straight across the field, okay? Come on. She can hear whistles. Here she comes. So yeah, she's not enjoying this because she's out in the sunshine, she's too hot, she's an old dog in a fur coat, and our very reason for coming here has been blown away by poor decision making from Sally. And now she's too hot because she was doing really well in the woods. She was actually very lively and nice and cool. But anyway, so here's the playing field since we're here. There's the high school. Enormous grassy expanse. There's the St Molio's house in there, the new house in the estate there. Okay, Sally stopped because I stopped. So yeah, we'll get her off this field because she's struggling a bit with this. We just had a wee drink of water, so that's not too bad. Or she did. I don't need to be drinking water because I drink plenty of tea. Does anybody tell you who knows me? I drink copious quantities of tea, I think that's fair to say. I have a cup at work that's a very big cup, and also at home I recently bought a set of cups that are about the same size as my Sports Direct cup, which is twice the size of a normal mug. And that's purely because I like to drink a lot of tea. And I think it's good for me anyway, actually, to be honest. Especially because, like, you just stay more hydrated with a bigger cup. I don't put more tea bags in it. It's just more liquid, isn't it? So that's my thinking on it. Every time I have a drink of tea, it's a pint. Like, quite literally, it's a pint. I think a pint's 568ml. And my Sports Direct cup is 600ml, so it's just over a pint. So that's the thinking there. But anyway, so there's some big dogs coming. I'll just sell her off into the woods, that's fine. take her time getting there. Alright dogs? Yeah, they're alright, aren't they? Yeah. There we go.
Come on, here.
There we go. Okay, come on Sally. Get her going the right
Aye.
direction. Alright mate.
Aye.
See if we can get her going the right direction.
Come on. You. Move.
Back in the shade again now. Yes, this is just the result of a poor decision by Sally. Hopefully once she gets back in the woods she'll come back to the liveliness that she was before we left the woods when she made her rubbish decision. But anyway, this grassy field here is a wonderful thing for all the kids and adults as well. I used this a lot when I was training to run around Arran. Come on Sal, well, this time we are going back in the woods. See how nice and cool it is, and there's a little breeze going through here, just the way it should be. That wood's great. That's better, isn't it? And so I would just run around that grass for hours, you know, training for, we'll go this way I think. Training to run around the island. That was the winter before last, when there was lockdown and the roads were empty. So because my knees get sore, I've struggled with my knees most of my life, all my adult life pretty much. I would go on that grass and just run around, put the radio headphones on, and just run round, and until I reached the desired time or distance that I was trying to do. So I did several very long runs in training to run around the island, and the longest training run I did was 30 miles, but I think the longest one I did in that field was 28. I did 3 marathon plus kind of training runs. I've never raced a marathon, but and that was a great place to do it, and it sounds funny to say, but it was easy to do on that surface because my body wasn't taking a pounding, and even the next day, you know, there wasn't any aches and pains and things because the grass is so soft. Completely different surface to run on than roads and things which are very bad for you if you're doing long distance. That wasn't at all, and in fact my knees didn't let me down running around the island because of that. I got the training in and they didn't collapse, which is the thing I thought they would have done. I thought they would have given up the ghost, but they didn't. So here we are back in the woods where we were before Sally's ill-advised decision-making skills came to fruition. I probably should have just stopped her. You see, you're panting there, but you weren't panting when we were in here last time, because the woods, it's beautiful sunshine outside now, lovely and bright, but you can see that in the woods. This is just, it's just lovely, isn't it? I mean, I've been in the Whitehouse Woods before, and I've shown people this, and it's just amazing. Like, it's almost perfect, isn't it? With the sun coming through. We'll go right up like that. This is the kind of environment that we're meant to be living in. This. Where it's got just a great climate, you know. It's protected from wind, and it doesn't overheat in the sun. And that's why I've come here. This is the place where the environment is the kindest. And yeah, Sally's starting to come around again now. There we go. Much better. So good decision. And there's a little, almost like a little breeze in here, like it's cool. You can feel the air going past, and it just feels really pleasant actually. Yeah, she's still panting. That's because of your bad decision. So anyway, yeah, talking about temperature, so 23 degrees was the most that we've got to our hottest day, and I think it's 38 down in England, and Ireland as well actually. I think it's pretty similar. So we're lucky, but we pay the price with wind and rain, so we get more wind because we're coastal, not as much as the islands up in the north. We get blasted by the Atlantic, which we don't get, we're in the Firth of Clyde. But we get a lot of rain here, and there's Sally, yep, still coming. In fact, I might as well just point the camera at Sally for a while. There we go. Get that dappled sunlight even on the ground, it's nice, isn't it? And so this was the right decision. I remember reading in the Arran Banner about 15 years ago, and they were talking about weather, and Arran gets 1.5 times the amount of annual rainfall as Glasgow. So if you're in Glasgow, think of us, we're getting an extra rainy day for every 2 of yours. We're getting 3, and we get twice the rainfall of Edinburgh, and so we're getting 1 for 1 extra day with them. And then there's local variations. So if you live in Brodick, you get more rain than elsewhere in the island because the prevailing wind blows the clouds over the mountains, the mountain range at the north, cools them down, they precipitate, drop the rain on Brodick as they come over the mountains. So they get 40% more rain than other places in the island. And I know this is right because I do the commute from Whiting Bay to Brodick, 8 miles. And quite often it's nice in Whiting Bay and then it's rainy and grey and horrible in Brodick. So Brodick, and I used to live in Brodick. So I would be getting 3 times the rainfall. I'm not so good in the maths in this one. So we're getting twice the rainfall of Edinburgh, and then Brodick gets 40% more on top of that. So that's going to, I'm only roughly on 3 times, but I have to say my brain's not capable of that calculation. How much more rainfall does Brodick get than Edinburgh? Right, there's your conundrum for today if you want one. We get twice as much as Edinburgh, but if I'm living in Brodick I get 40% more than elsewhere in the island. So how much then does someone in Brodick get compared to someone in Edinburgh? I need to write that one down. And so I'm walking about, I have to say, would that be me multitasking at that point if I was talking, calculating that and walking Sally? I suppose it would be, and filming. Okay, so I'll let myself off for that one. So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to work out how much more rain a Brodick person is experiencing than an Edinburgh person. And I know it's going to be roughly, of course, 3 times, but I don't know exactly. So answers on my YouTube page if you want, on my Facebook page, wherever this goes. So yeah, Whiting Bay is lucky in that respect, comparatively, and we don't get the wind either really because we've got the hills behind Whiting Bay, and that protects us. The prevailing wind comes over the top of the hills behind Whiting Bay, not mountains, just hills, and then hits the sea about half a mile out. So the actual houses in Whiting Bay don't tend to get hit very hard when other places do. In fact, quite often Brodick doesn't get it. That people talk about the ferry being disrupted and it's flat calm, but it can be very stormy in Ardrossan, and quite often seem flat calm in Brodick just because of the way the wind's going. That can be deceptive. Whatever else folks say about that, it can be quite different. Okay, so that's us at our end of our little walk through the woods. One last look at them. Absolutely amazing. Does this need any improvement at all? I don't think so. I think that's just perfect. I wouldn't change that. I think that's just exactly the way I'd want to leave it, if I could, if that was possible. And then here's another path here. This is like a wide one that vehicles and things have gone up in the past. Just amazing. So lucky to have this Sally waiting for me because she's such a good dog. Because she's such a good doggy. She doesn't know which direction we're going. She thinks we're going that way now, but we're not. We're actually going the opposite direction, so she's going the wrong way just now, but she'll have a think about it in a minute. In fact, I'll just stay here and see how long it takes her. She'll think at some point. Where's David? Is he beside me? Where is he? I'm on my own. What's happening? Oh, I don't see him now. I'll just stop and have a think about this. He's not moved. I'll stand up. So she's very good. She doesn't have any commands from me. She was a rescue. She just does this. She follows me around. And she comes back. She's thinking, okay, maybe I wasn't meant to go too far that way. I'll have a sniff about since she's just standing kind of like uselessly standing on the spot. Okay, I'll come back and see what the big deal's about here. Even though I'm panting and tired out. There we go. And that's us at the end of the woods here. Yeah, back on the main road from Lamlash. In fact, I'll just come out and shoot up and down the road and then that'll do for today, I think. And there is what sunlight really is like. So, out of the woods, except for it's better to be in the woods. And up the way there, towards where the school is and the takeaway and the little shop there. There's Sally coming out, and that's the woods there. See how dark that is? It wasn't dark when we were in it, but it's dark compared to out here. Okay, that'll do. Adios.